Okay, Thursday, January 25th, 2024, 6:33 a.m. Was just reflecting on this YouTube video I just commented on, The Dark Side of Prophecy, and the fascination that seems to be in place here for all of these spiritual and biblical weird things. And then I had this thought, maybe this would be a good chapter topic or a section or message that is a takeoff off of the line from Wizard of Oz, Lions and Tigers and Bears, oh my. And it would be something like Giants and Demons and Gods, oh my. And the point of that title is, these things are real, and they're fearful. They're things that we're afraid of, that we're fascinated with, that we perceive as dangers, and therefore they capture our imagination. I think the context to bring that around, or the point of that illustration and bringing that to light, is to highlight the deception that's in place around these things. Because people either believe in the biblical basis and the experiential reality of these things, and when that's the case, then the tendency that I see by far is to go to the extreme position of being afraid, of being focused on and fearful of these things. And then the other opposite position is that, no, this is fantasy, it's fiction, it's mythology, makes for a good story, but nothing to do with reality. And I want to suggest that the place of understanding here is to recognize that these are biblically accurate descriptions of entities. These entities exist, and they don't just exist, but they are influential and impactful in our lives, and have been since the beginning, and that the purpose of the deceiver is to keep us at either one of those extremes, because the truth is that we've been given power over these things. We have authority over demons. We have authority over giants, although not said that way in the Bible, but that is our mandate. That was the example of the Old Testament, was to, we see with David and Goliath as the pinnacle struggle there, the annihilation of the giant clans as prescribed in the Old Testament, and then the whole issue of the Psalm 82 judgment of the gods. All of these aspects, all of these entities, these descriptions are real. But and the end game of this axis of intelligent evil, if you will, is the annihilation of humanity. That's the end game. That's the purpose. But we know greater is He that's in us than he that's in the world. In a very almost colloquial and simple sense, it's been almost overused, overstated, and misunderstood, and to the point where it's been relegated to just a trite saying. But that is the reality, that we have the power to dominate this world for good. That is the truth. That is the point of the gospel. That is the thematic message of the Bible, that this is the destiny of man. This was the will of God for man, stated both in the garden to Adam and then reiterated by Jesus in the Great Commission. This is the unchanging purpose of the reason for humanity. So the question is, and the challenge is, how do we exercise that? How do we embrace that reality in the midst of all of the distractions in both directions? You can add to that list of demons and giants and demons and gods, and you can start throwing in things like aliens and evolution and the theories of existence and of the origin of the universe. Pick the metaphor you want to use, where our creative and analytical minds take us to these places. And I want to suggest that those are valid. The observations are valid. The math is mostly valid. These are our ways of trying to understand the world around us through the anecdotal evidence that we find, through the experimentation, through the maths and the proofs from that. But the reality is, there is this fundamental principle of love, the fundamental aspect of relationship, of human relations, that has the ability to transcend all of this. And I think that's really where where our emphasis needs to go. And that's what I want to do. I want to be an agent of that transformation. I want to participate in that metamorphosis, and also in the breaking down. These are the walls, the gates of hell. These are the barriers to our understanding, and they need to come down so that light can come in and we can experience the freedom in Christ. And that freedom is nothing more, nothing less than the simple free exercise of our humanity in the context that we've been created, without the perverted influence of the enemy to corrupt that process, to corrupt our wills, our minds, our actions, but that we have pure actions, benevolent actions. Empathy is understood to be part of who we are. Benevolence is to be assumed as the motive. And we're so far from that right now, but that's not an impossible journey. That's not an impossible pass or a bottomless pit that we can't cross, an unspannable gulf. It's right within our fingertips. It's a matter of choice. We choose, and we have the power to choose. And that right there, that we have the ability to choose, is the greatest secret, the best kept secret, even among Christians, even among much of Christianity. We do not advocate that we have the power to choose, that the power to do good comes solely and completely as the blessing of God. And again, I want to say that's a corruption, a perversion of not just the Bible, but of how we're wired, of who we are. So, okay, that's enough for now.